This edict identifies Jesus of Nazareth as a heretic and a blasphemer.
This season on The Chosen.
There are those for whom this will set off a series of events. My followers won't understand.
Lazarus, come out!
I guess you're not holding back anymore.
I can't. I'm out of time.
See Season 4 of The Chosen in theaters on February 1st, starting with episodes 1, 2, and 3. Get your tickets now at thechosenriseup.com.
Welcome to the Friendly Atheist Podcast. This is Jessica. As you may or may not know, Hemant is out of town. He heard that he had to watch Star Wars and fled the country, which starts to feel personal after a while. So I am joined by my sometimes co-host.
Hi, everyone. It's Anne Bolano here.
Hi, Anne. I'm so glad you're here.
I'm so happy to be here.
Yeah, so we were going to just throw up some interviews this week, and I think we still will, but there was just some things that I thought we should talk about. And you know what? Damn it if I don't love drinking wine and gabbing with my friend Anne on the mic.
It really is a good time. Happy to be here.
We're very excited about this. We're full of sushi.
Oh, yeah. And we took that very seriously tonight.
Yeah, we went to all-you-can-eat sushi, and guess what? I can eat it all. And for those of you who have not listened to the episodes you've been on in the past, would you like to give a small bio? It's short for biography.
All right. Well, my biography is all relative to Jessica, so... Because I don't know, we're here together. Jessica and I used to work together.
And was my boss?
I was, which is so weird to think about.
It's very weird.
But also, I'm a journalist, freelance, so I travel and write as much as I can.
What's your website?
My website is annebolano.com, ANNEBOULEANU.com.
It's all of the vowels.
I know. Oh, well.
So will you give a brief overview of some of your recent journalistic endeavors?
So I traveled through Southeast Asia for a couple of months. This year I was in Laos, Vietnam, and the Philippines. Philippines particularly is where I was doing some reporting. Came back from that, and a couple weeks later went to Rwanda for a bit. And so I'm getting some of those stories published now, and it was great. Yeah, it was a great trip.
But she got a grant. Am I allowed to talk about
Yeah. Sure.
Are journalists secret keepers?
Yeah, that's the thing we like to do most.
Talk about the grant you got, because it was, I lived through, you're like, oh, I just applied to this grant. I definitely won't get it. And I was like, LOL, she definitely will.
And then I did. You did have faith in me. So it was through the organization CARE, and it was a Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation sponsored trip, which was wonderful. And so I went to Kigali with a congressional delegation and just, went around the country there and interviewed people, and it was really wonderful.
And we're sitting at dinner, and she's like, I just feel like I'm not really living up to my potential.
Thanks, Jess.
I don't know. You're in your 20s, and you've done more than I've ever done in my entire life.
No, I don't think that's true.
Nothing is off the record.
Perfect.
Everything for this dumb podcast.
Oh, that's true. That's true. And now I'm here, and happy Friday.
Yeah, this is really what I would call the peak of your journalistic career.
I enjoy it, so I'm happy to be here.
Super fun. Anne is drinking a canned Moscow Mule.
Yeah, courtesy of Jess.
Suspiciously clear. I'm drinking wine, natch. All right, so let's start off with a dumb story.
Love that.
I don't know what to think about this. It's a lot. Okay. So the Lebanon School District in central Pennsylvania, so it's west of Philly, from what I can tell. My Pennsylvania geography is not strong.
Sure.
It's between
shockingly
Philly and Pittsburgh-ish.
Sure.
This headline was sort of bonkers, but I want to kind of lead you into it a little bit more. So there's a 15-year-old student named Juliana Gundrum, which is an excellent name. She's a student at this school district, so she's 15, so probably freshman, sophomore-ish. She said, if you don't smile in the hallways, there might be consequences.
That's threatening.
Quote, if you don't smile, you get called to the office or down to see your guidance counselor. You have to talk about your problems then. You have to, or you get detention.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wait.
So this is, oh my God, the most loosely related to atheism ever, but I just found this.
That's crazy.
This is a bananas story. And it gets weirder. So So this is a report I read. So, quote, even though smiling in the hallways is not a written rule at the school district, it is something that assistant high school principal Benjamin Wegner has taken upon himself to...
How did I know it would be a guy?
Because you've been in the world. Cool,
A little while at least.
Thanks for reading right now, Daddy. That's really cool of you. That's
You
what
never
that
know when
sound
hunger
is.
will strike.
So Benjamin Wenger has taken it upon himself to enforce this unspoken policy. The teachers who spoke to the Lebanon Daily News, which is this report that I'm reading, asked to remain anonymous for fear of retaliation from the
Wow,
school district.
he's running a tight ship.
Yeah. Apparently, do you want to hear something else very cool about this principal?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Assistant principal. He's also been accused of throwing around sex toys in the office during school hours.
I knew that it would be something creepy, but I was not sure that sex toys would come into it.
Along with, take the ride,
Oh no.
middle school principal Brad Reist, R-E-I-S-T,
It's fine.
and high school principal Jennifer Hassler. She's betrayed us.
Wait, but they all are
all-
engaging in this?
Yeah. They're all, no, I'm sorry, these were the people who were accused of throwing around sex toys.
Wait, okay. Please elaborate on the throwing around sex toys.
Oh, I can't. It was an aside in the article, and I did not do any more
Okay,
research.
because honestly, what I'm seeing is just like sex toys actually being thrown around the room, which is probably lighter than what it actually is.
What, you think that this is underselling how gross it was? Or you think
I don't
this
know.
is
Well, the
overselling?
image I have in my head is just like this guy throwing vibrators around a
Oh,
room.
yeah, dildos were definitely in my
Yeah, just
head.
like flying through the air.
I wonder...
I think that maybe it
okay,
was, you
is
know.
there anything... Okay.
Okay.
Ready for this thought experiment?
Always.
Is there anything that can tradition... This is a lot for the top of the show. Can traditionally be considered a sex toy that would be okay to throw around in a high school?
No!
Like a blow-up doll?
No,
Is
that would still
worse
not be
or
okay.
Better than a dildo.
Better.
Better.
It's not explicitly usually used during sex. Those I think are more like, ha ha ha,
Yeah, but
aren't
it's a
we
naked
hilarious?
lady doing this.
I mean, I think it's totally inappropriate. There should be, none of this is okay. We all know that. Let's back up and establish our stance on this. Not okay.
Yeah. So I
Wait,
mean,
so they're all involved though? Is this like a?
I don't know.
It's all this abuse?
I don't know.
Oh
The thing
my
is, they didn't
God.
frame it as abuse. They didn't frame it as like. Well, I mean, so okay. Here's what. First of all, at the end of the story, and really the bulk of this story that the Lebanon Journal reported, that was just about how bullying is a very real issue in this particular school district. It's rampant, and they've made these quote unquote like efforts to try to reduce it. But what they're seeing is bullying is still happening, and then somebody's like somber walking down the hallway, and they get sent to the principal office.
That's crazy.
So.
It's also a nice way to get vulnerable people into an office alone with an adult.
Oh, you said that in a bad way. Because I was thinking, like, oh, I wonder if it's just them being prudent of, like, hey, depression is a thing and teen suicide is a thing, and maybe we should be more aware.
Yeah.
But, I mean, even if this is what they intended to do, like, that's not what depression looks like.
No.
That's not what
You can be chipper outwardly and
Yeah.
not okay inside.
Yeah, I feel like when I tell people I deal with depression, they're like,
Are you sure? Or like, oh, you experience anxiety. It's like, but you're so lively and
Yeah.
you're so social. It's, well,
yeah, well, I work very, very hard.
Right,
to be
right.
likable. Stop sending me mean things. So anyway, it's just a buck wild way to.
that's really weird.
Isn't that insane?
Yeah. And probably not effective because what it causes people to do is fake it.
Yeah. Yep.
Because
yep.
otherwise they get in trouble and get detention. That's crazy.
Yeah. And this is reported by this young woman and her mom. But then apparently, I mean, they're anonymous, but it's teachers who are backing this up. So
Yeah.
it's a very
it sounds believable.
weird story.
Weird.
So
Way to understand the youth.
Like, yeah. Okay. So I want to dip over into some like all-time friendly atheist classics.
Okay.
Do you want to hear about Ken Ham or Pat Robertson first?
Let's go Pat Robertson.
Okay, good. I don't know why good. So Pat Robertson is a monster.
Yeah.
So, So random anecdote. Normally when I do research for this show, Hemant will pull mostly from the from his blog, which is understandable because he did all that work already. But I tried to not do that just because I want to bring something different to the table. Anyway, but it takes me like 2 or 3 hours to do research just because I'm just trolling Facebook and Twitter and all that. And then yesterday I was doing research and I was like halfway through, I was like, oh, I can't find anything. And I was like, Hemant's gone. I can use his work.
Perfect.
So this is much easier this time around. So if I read things verbatim, it's definitely Hemant's writing.
Perfect.
So he's
citation,
right.
Hemant.
So the 700 Club,
Oh, do I ever? Late night childhood watching, just
Wait,
because
really?
nothing else was on.
Oh.
And even then I was like, this guy doesn't seem right.
No, he's not the best. So he read a letter from a woman named Kathy. She had been sick. She prayed for healing, and the problem went away. She was healed.
Okay.
Then problem came back. She said, quote, why would God heal you and then give the ailment back to you after you praised him for healing you?
Yikes.
What do you think Pat Robertson said?
Pray harder. Somehow it's your fault.
Oh my God, you got it like literally.
Perfect.
Have
Verbatim.
you read this story?
No, I'm just familiar with him,
So he's just talking about some random citations of the Bible. So, quote, so disease, has a certain life to it. Some diseases, they're like animate creatures, and they want to go back to the house where they live, and you have to fill that void with something. And that's what the teaching was. You have to be filled with the Spirit of God, and that disease is gone. But you somehow welcome it back. It isn't God putting it back. The disease wants to come back, and you receive it. So you have to begin to stand against these things.
Wow.
Can you imagine?
It's... Honestly, there are some things still that just... It's like shocked but not surprised.
Yeah.
What a...
Asshole?
Yeah, what an asshole. But also it's this idea of like this give and take that you have. It's like a vengeful God.
And I mean, that's exactly what they preach.
But this, it's just so the hallmark, right, is you have a problem. It's actually your fault. Now let me teach you how to fix it. And then when it comes back, it's still your fault.
Yeah, because if it doesn't work...
You did something wrong.
How did you
So
fuck
you're
this
welcoming
up?
it back in your life through sin, and it also makes illnesses like actual demons.
Yes, and
they can enter you.
I mean, how similar is it to? I mean, how much is it exactly an abusive relationship of like, don't make me do this to you, don't make me hurt you, don't make me yell at you, because that's
and you can never fully please the partner enough
because there's always something you've done wrong.
Right.
And I think anybody who's dealt with whether it's a bad partner or like a bad boss, something even that like relatively mild of like you're so on edge of like what did I do to mess up, and like imagine,
walking on eggshells all the time.
Yeah, and imagine that transcending to your thoughts.
Right, and it's not even just about your actions, right? Because you can sin in your thoughts.
Yeah,
that's what always got me as a kid.
Thought crime.
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah. It's not great. So that sucks.
He's really, a hallmark of just...
I guess I don't understand how you can listen to this man say these things. And is it because it's not happening to you, it's happening to somebody else? So you're like, well, yeah, that person messed up. Whereas...
Yeah, I think there's something comforting in that. Is like, well... It will never happen to me, that kind of thing.
Because
I'm a good person, or I will pray. Or actually, maybe I should buy his book.
Ugh, gross.
I mean, that's what it comes back to, right?
Yeah. Yeah. It's all not great. And
it's all not great.
Pretty bad.
Yeah. I'd go in on that, yeah.
Okay, so moving on. So this was the wildest moment of my week.
Tell me all about it.
So, you know who Ken Ham is, yeah?
Yeah.
So Ken Ham is a famous Christian apologist. He's Australian. He started which one was his? His wasn't the Creation Museum. His was the Ark Encounter.
Is that the one?
I think so. He argued with Bill Nye. I don't know. They all went together. Anyway.
I just wish Ark Encounter were spelled with a K. Ark Encounter. That's all I want. Is it so much to ask? Little bit?
Yeah.
Well,
Well, they're not going to listen to science. They're not going to listen to you, man.
Fine.
You, a lovely
just like
woman,
a little word play.
You're married.
I certainly would never.
What would you have to contribute?
Yeah.
So, all right. I have a question. Have you ever been in a position that you're like kind of talking shit about somebody and then that person overhears it?
Yes, I have.
Okay, you know that feeling that you get in your tummy?
Yeah, real bad.
So, I inexplicably got this third hand.
Oh no.
So, so in early May, on May 4th, Hemant wrote about this Yale paper that tracked a link between people who believe in delusion, so telepathic communications, are dogmatic in their thinking, and are just religious fundamentalists, to people more likely to fall for fake news, which I think from our end of things makes a lot of sense. If you're
Definitely.
if you're willing to listen to an authoritarian voice tell you something is true, you're not looking for it for yourself. If you're gullibility, I guess, although that's kind of sending out.
And a level of paranoia that runs through both delusions and fake news.
So Hemant wrote about this, and he name-checked Ken Ham as, like, he thinks that the answers are literally in Genesis, in the Bible. Oh, answers in Genesis, that's his big thing.
Yeah, it's like he only read the first chapter.
I cannot
He's just
show without
that's
Hemant
it.
here. So he has this, like, little internet show,
Yeah.
and somebody sent him Hemant's blog post.
Super famous. You guys are really on
about
fame's
it.
doorstep. You have arrived.
And I want to be abundantly clear. I had nothing to do with the writing of this paper. I was not involved in this at all. But as soon as they were talking about, like, friendly atheist, not so friendly, I had the feeling in my stomach of, like, I've been talking shit about this dog for 4 years.
Oh my god. You're like, shit, they finally listened.
No. Which is just, A, dumb, B, I don't feel bad for anything I said. Like,
But it still feels like being caught a little.
It does feel like being caught.
You're like, oh god, we were gossiping and they finally like opened the door to listen.
Which is, I don't know. I don't know. I guess, again, I don't want to say it like I feel guilty. It's just like my natural like response.
Yeah, totally.
mechanism.
It's defense. Yeah.
And just like, I forget that human beings listen to this show, let alone human beings like Ken Ham, who are people of quote unquote no, like they're relatively famous, and to be like, oh, you know who we are?
Yeah, famous.
Oh my god, this is
famous with all the wrong people, though,
and
right?
This is the exact level of famous I want to be.
No more. No higher than this.
Ken Ham talked about my co-host on his show, and at one point that other Australian Christian sent me some pears. Have you heard that story?
Pears? No. What?
You haven't heard the story?
No.
What's his name? So I'm gonna look it up because I cannot. It's the other Australian. It's the. Do you remember the banana, an atheist's worst nightmare?
No.
Wait, really?
What? No.
Okay, so the banana.
I mean, listen, I'm up on religious news, but you host a weekly podcast. I'm not
like
as
maybe
tuned
10
in.
years
Yeah.
old.
Oh, okay. Well, then, yes, certainly not.
So essentially, it's this dude whose name is. I put night mess instead of nightmare. Please work.
Come on, Google.
Ray Comfort. God, that's his
Okay.
name. Okay, so Ray Comfort. He did this thing called. Look it up if you haven't seen it. It is buck wild. He talks about how a banana disproves atheists.
Like the fruit, just a banana?
Uh-huh.
Okay, sure.
And he gives really sound logic. Let me tell you them. I've seen this video many times.
Give me a few points.
Because it's nutritious.
Okay, yeah.
A,
Yeah.
because it comes in its own, like, packaging.
Sure. Yeah,
It
it's
has
handy.
a handle on it.
Portable.
The number of ridges in a banana apparently match with the number of ridges in your hand when you do banana shape.
You're not eating bananas fast enough if you're paying attention to how many ridges there
they
are.
have color, so like green is too early, brown is too late, yellow is super yummy. Maybe the most important one is the shape your mouth makes is the same as the banana. See?
What?
Did you see how my face was like a banana?
Yes.
It's called science, Anne. Ever heard of it? But anyway, so the backstory is that Ray Comfort made this egregiously bad movie that Hemant and I watched, and then interviewed one of the actors who's an atheist.
Oh, wow.
Oh, Oh God, is he an atheist? I don't know. I have his number. I can text him.
Oh, perfect.
He like texts me. We were like talking after we interviewed him, and he like texts me during my bachelorette party. He's like, "Did you hear about this?" I'm like, "I'm busy. I have a penis helmet on." What is my dumb life? Okay, but anyway, so after we released the podcast, trashing his very bad movie, he sent me to Hemant's home. But like addressed to me
A bouquet of bananas.
No, a really nice fruit basket thing, including. And
It wasn't so far off.
We worked together. You might have eaten these very
Oh
these very
my
pears,
God.
but they were like really fancy pears.
Sure.
And the excellent pears, like 10 out of 10 would pair again. But that was his being nice to me, which like, yeah, I'll eat.
That's super nice. Were there bananas though? In the
There
mix?
were no bananas, but the bananas
Smart,
were
clever.
tangential to the garbage that he was producing at that point.
Okay, listen, all I'm going to remember is
And he
the
also,
bananas.
I think, claims that the banana thing was satire.
Sure, after the fact. Just
Exactly.
kidding.
So anyway, so back to Ken Ham. So it's this little, and it's like a very much your internet. And what you see, you compare it to like the InfoWars aesthetic.
Yeah, it looks exactly like that. If you have seen Alex Jones sitting behind little half desk,
Yep.
lots of blue and white, it's the aesthetic is the same thing.
So
and by the way, like, would you want a camera on us right now? No,
God, no.
Listen.
We changed into sweats for this. We
Immediately.
changed out of our human clothes.
Immediately.
No, and that's literally like on the air one time. I was like, should we like do an internet show? No, I don't
No.
want that. I don't. People,
No.
the shit people say about my voice. Can you
Oh,
imagine if my
no.
dumb face were
Are you
on the
kidding?
internet?
And then you're like doing your makeup on to sit
my
down
God.
and sit in front of a
and then
microphone.
I'm wearing too much makeup.
Oh,
I'm not
yeah,
wearing
totally.
enough makeup, and people are going to know about my weak chin. Like I've worked really hard to keep that secret. Stupid show. So anyway, so somebody apparently sent Hemant's blog over to our close personal
Right.
friend Ken Ham.
Right.
And I was really like, I don't know why this is me being dumb and annoying, but there was like a woman around my age who was like in the middle, and she was clearly playing like the color commentator, which is my job. And I was like, are you trying to be the Christian me? It made no sense.
There can only be one of us.
Yeah.
Okay.
And even that's too many. So they have this like, and the witty banter that they have, it is on fire.
Truly, just the height.
On fire. So Ken Ham started with, are you ready for this? A sick bird.
Yes, I am.
He's not a friendly atheist.
Oh, I know. I mean the wit.
And one of his reasons is, this is so bad. He uses all sorts of swear words. He also,
I saw that. Yes,
He
yeah.
also at one point, I don't think I wrote this down, but I like G-chatted him immediately. Like, I think Ken Ham just said you have porn on your site.
What?
And honestly, it's probably in the ads and like,
Oh,
dude,
yeah. It's
like,
half porn. You got to make
blast
some
that
money,
cash,
you
my
know?
dude. So lots of swear words. Obviously, he is fake news. Nailed it.
Oh, my God.
Oh, this is my favorite. So Avery Foley is her name. Which,
Okay.
I don't know. I'm just sad that. Ugh, I just don't like when I have to yell at women.
I know. But, I mean, you
I'm trying
know.
to be good.
Ugh, God.
Quote, obviously there aren't any non-religious people. Everyone has religious beliefs.
Oh, I love this. The lack of something equals that there's something.
Yeah, I think... Oh, God, sorry, I did that in the mic. I think they have that sort of thing of like, oh, well, you also have an opinion about God, so that's as religious as my opinion about God.
Right.
Which is
No.
not how any of that
No,
works.
it's really not.
And so it's honestly a solid maybe 3 minutes. You watched it, right?
I watched parts of it, but I did want to talk to you about it, so I wanted to keep it fresh.
It's not 3 minutes of like dunking on Hemant. Like,
Yeah,
oh,
they really think that
excellent burns.
they've got you cornered.
Because
really,
they say what else do they say? Atheism is a religion. If he's not religious, he wouldn't be talking about religious topics all the time. And then Ken Ham says, he's very dogmatic in this article, which means
God.
it just doesn't mean anything. It is them saying, I know you are, but what am I?
Yes, it's very much that. It's whataboutism. It's I'm rubber, you're glue, and it's
Yeah, and I think the interesting. I think there's a few interesting things we hear a lot that they touch on in this. That atheism is dogmatic, which I suppose there is a realm that it could be, but I think that it's intellectually dishonest, I think, to say, because I think they're so sure about their belief in God that for somebody to disagree with them feels like an affront and therefore feels as aggressive against them, maybe? Is that the right way to say it?
Yes, I think so, because they're evangelists, yes? Mm-hmm. So they want to evangelize and they want to convert people.
Right,
and so somebody having no opinion or disagreeing is more of like an affront. To be like, well, I'm trying to save you, supposedly. Clearly they want us all to burn in hell. Like, all right.
They're happy with that.
But the idea is like, well, we're trying to save you. And so you atheists, you're just so loud about it that it feels like an affront, even though generally I'm chill with most people who have some sort of religious affiliation.
Do you think you could draw a straight line between people who say, oh, you're dogmatic about your atheism, to people who talk about feminism as misandry?
Yeah. I think that's like, if it's a Venn diagram, it's probably just a circle.
But I mean, like, just the frames of thinking of like, oh, because you believe this thing means you don't believe this thing. Does that make sense? Or is that a stretch?
No, I think that it's in the same realm. I think it's more like you believe something that I don't, and therefore you're crazy. Or like you are really, so why are you so intense about it? Mm-hmm. Like, well.
Yeah. What else did they say? God, my nose is itchy. Yeah, and I think it's interesting when they're like, oh, well, how come they talk about religion all the time? Like, I don't know, because you guys are trying to rule the world. And
you guys keep doing really weird stuff.
And aggressively end the world with this whole, like, Middle East thing.
Oh, can't wait to talk about that.
So that's sort of my reason.
Yeah.
Also, laws are a thing. Ken Ham said he's an atheist. He's already rejected evidence. He's rejected the Bible, which is evidence.
Oh, my...
Yeah. Ken Ham. This is it. I very rarely go on his site. A lot of it, there's pornography and blasphemy.
I very rarely go on it except for to do this.
And he also does the thing about like 90%. This is one thing that I think is interesting. He's like, oh, they only attack Christians. They never attack Muslims, etc. Which is A, not true, and B, like, y'all are the ones who think you own the country.
Yeah, and also we're in the States, and so you talk about things more that are in the U.S., and come on, the fundies here are,
Well, the fundamentalists here are the norm as opposed to the exception, is how I would put it. Like, y'all are the ones who are saying, like, you live in a Christian nation. Of course you're the ones who are affecting my life, and thereby the ones who I feel it's important to talk about and shed light on. Like, yeah, we talk about Muslims and Mormons and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, but, like, we live in a Christian majority country.
Yeah.
And almost everybody in power is Christian and is not just happens to be Christian, but many of them are using their Christian beliefs to shape public policy, which does affect me. And so, yeah, I'm going to talk about you because, like, me having bodily autonomy is pretty important to me and my body. So I'm just going to go ahead and call you out on your garbage.
As I think you should.
I just remembered I bought brownie mix. We can make brownies later.
Good. I'm sorry, listeners. You're not invited.
No, we're having a sleepover, y'all.
We are, yeah.
We have 2 podcasts to record
We do,
tonight.
yeah.
What? Okay, can we talk about how we're like, let's have a sleepover, and it turned into us doing a week of homework?
Yeah, I know. I had to read 3 books and research Gaza. We'll get there, folks.
Because I knew I wanted Anne to do an episode of Fables, which, if you're not aware, is the bonus podcast that we do for Patreon listeners. Go to friendlyatheist.com. Or nope, don't go there. You can
God,
go
you
there if you
can't
want.
even.
Hemant knows that.
Yeah.
Patreon.com/friendlyatheist podcast. You donate $1, you get some extra episodes of me doing this mostly. And so Anne and I were like talking about what we wanted to do, and then she went to Ghana, and we're like, oh, we have to push it back. And then we're like, we have a week, let's read a children's book that we loved. And it turned into, let's read one children's book we both liked, Funicula.
We'll get there, but that book terrified me as a child. So if you've read Funicula, I mean, maybe revisit it.
I cannot wait to talk to you about this.
All right.
Later.
Folks.
But then we also, Anne read Island of the Blue Dolphins for the first time, and I read Little House on the Prairie for the first time, both of which are pretty grim fucking books.
One more than the other. But yeah,
okay.
So it was like Monday we had decided to do this. And by Thursday, I was like feeling up against the wall. I was like, I don't know if I'm going to make it. I had to do all
the research for this.
Yeah, you had more to do.
And I had softball. Nobody asked me about
I had to take
games.
the Metra. It was a big deal.
Ugh, you're very brave.
Commuter train. It's insane.
Mikey does that every day.
Well, when you work from home, it's like, oh my God, Walgreens is so far, let alone going to another town.
Oh God, sometimes you have to bring your dog outside.
Ugh.
Stupid.
Anyway, what happened?
What's happened? A guy's named Bodie Hodge. Bodie? Bodie?
Yeah, Bodie.
Bodie Hodge. God, like all-time names, y'all. So apparently, because Hemant used the word lies a couple times in reference to things that are untrue.
Lies. Isn't it crazy how that's been politicized to be like, God, should we call it falsehoods or misleading? You're like, it's just a lie. And I know that that's a harsh word, but
like
it's
the whole thing when
true.
Trump reverses his position on this thing he did. Like,
you're like, oh, don't you mean he lied and was caught?
And told the truth and was like, what? We don't know. So Bodie Hodge said, well, that's awful Christian of him because it's so dumb. It's awful Christian of him because he says the Bible says not to lie. He's borrowing from Christian morality. So Anne?
Yeah.
You're a journalist.
Okay, yes.
How important is truth to you?
Very, yeah. I'd say very.
Where did you learn to tell the truth?
Catholic school. He's right.
Oh.
No, I'm kidding.
Shit.
No.
Anne.
Oh, wait. Okay. Here's something that just popped in from the recesses of my brain that I have not thought about forever in terms of truth telling. Okay. So Catholic school, you go to confession once every month or something.
I thought it was every week.
No, we didn't. It was a rather, in terms of, good job. Jessica just threw a piece of paper into a garbage can.
Yeah,
and it was like 5 feet away.
When I'm done with them, because otherwise I get confused.
Sure.
Go ahead.
So we would have to go to confession. Mm-hmm. And, at like age 10, you're like, my sins are I yelled at my sister and I disrespected my parents and whatever. But I was like, this list is getting too long. Here's a workaround. Oh, no. I'm going to leave out a few and then add in, and I lied, so that it would cover the confession, so that I could be like, I left out how much I started swearing early. Or I've been swearing like this since I was like 8.
Girl, me too.
Okay, so I would leave out like, I swore, and also I stole something from my little brother and whatever. So I would lie in confession.
That is some
to blanket cover it.
Shit.
I know. Guess what? Wait until 7th grade, where my teacher was like, if you lie in confession, it's a mortal sin and you're going to hell. And I was like, well, I'm going to have to get to confession really soon.
And did you?
Yeah. But then what did I do? I, of course, chickened out and was just like, and I lied. Covering my previous lies. Like, I couldn't break the mindset of like, I'll figure out a way around God on this one.
I feel like that's my whole life. Like, finances, everything. Like, I'll figure it out later.
I'll get there. I'll figure it out.
I'm just going to put a Band-Aid on
I
it.
have not thought about that in a very long time. So yeah, my morality in terms of truth telling may not have come from Catholicism. The time in which...
Excellent story.
Thank you.
Did you get confirmed?
Yeah.
Is that the one where you wear white dress?
You wear white dresses a lot. Baptism, communion, confession, confirmation.
Wait, you wear a white dress in confession?
For the first confession, yeah. Which,
Hey, how old are you? And were you
7.
confessing?
Exactly. Okay, wait. Here is like the most and thing that I'm like, I always just feel like whenever there's something, I'm always like, God damn it. Like there's always like a side thing that doesn't go quite right. So it's confession. I'm 7 years old and I'm like excited and nervous. And so the whole class, including the CCD kids who, stole my colored pencils. I see you out there.
Dump, that's what we
I
called
see you
it.
out there. I'm still mad about those colored pencils. You stole them.
Where did you grow up? Like North Suburbs?
Yeah, I know. This is the worst thing that happened to me. Somebody would leave my desk disorganized. So on the day of confession, there's like 100 of us.
Were you
and
gossiping about what you were
5
gonna
priests.
confess about?
No, we took it very seriously. So though they had the confessional booths, but there were only like 3 or 4 of them and too many kids. And so they had some people confess on the altar in plain sight. And it was just like a numbers game. And I was just counting like 15 people out. And I was like, no way. No way. And so my first confession, which is supposed to be a private moment in the dark, was like lit underneath a crucifix in front of an altar, and the whole world, what it felt like to me was the whole world. And so they watched me.
And you
I don't
had
know.
to look him in the
What?
eyes.
How
and be
weird
like,
would it be to watch
I
a
left
7-year-old
Lego out and my mom stepped on it.
And like to watch 7-year-old children like hang their heads in shame while they're like, I disrespected my parents. My parents were pretty cool, and I don't think they really, But that's so
they're sending you to
weird.
hell, sounds like.
I mean, there you go.
Oh my god! You know what? It's funny because
Just the weird shit that you accept is like that's normal, and then
that's
later,
regular. Yeah,
not so much.
because I talk a lot in the show about that I grew up like culturally Catholic. In so much that both my parents were raised Catholic. They did not want to continue that particular strain onto me and my brother. So I always like think I'm in with the because I grew up in southwestern suburbs, so it's like all Irish people and like Italians, and so everybody was Catholic. And sometimes I forget, like, I don't know shit about Catholicism or like the shit that goes along with it. I'm glad
It's
I never
weird
had to
and
confess.
old and
I
like.
think I would lie immediately upon confession. There's sometimes
The
that I
second you enter the booth.
Yeah, I mean-
That was the first lie. How long it's been since your last confession? I started off right off the bat. Bless me, Father, for I have sinned. It's been 1 month since my last confession. Just kidding. I was out sick that day and the day before. It's been a whole semester. You don't need to know.
I mean,
Also, I lied. Clear.
the thing is, like, I pay to go to therapy sometimes, and I have to stop myself from lying to my therapist.
Yeah, imagine
because
the
that
Catholic
deeply
guilt.
ingrained in me to like protect myself at all odds.
It's okay. Just go
swear
into
to
a
God,
dark booth and confess your sins to a stranger. It's
I
fine.
tell
Your
more
sins.
truths on this podcast to a bunch of fucking strangers than I do to like my therapist.
You should just have your therapist listen. You're like, can I pay you an extra hour for you to just
I don't
listen?
think she needs that in her life.
Oh, okay. All right.
I love her. I should call her again. Don't judge me.
I should call her again. Knocks her empty wine glass into a microphone. I should call my therapist.
So once in a while, she'll text her and she's like, "How are you doing?" I'm like, "Okay,
I'm all right. I'll come to you."
So, heavier topic. We're gonna talk about the Middle East.
Okay.
So, Anne, this is your time to I've definitely talked about this on the show that, like, I think of myself as a bright person. I'm fairly well read. I'm well educated. The Middle East writ large is a big fucking gap in my global understanding. It's just something that, like,
It's tough.
It feels too overwhelming for me to like attack at this point in my life. So I'm like, you know what? They don't know what's going on over there. I don't think nobody's seeking out my opinion on
like,
this.
Jessica, what do you think?
Finally, Jessica's here.
She's the missing link.
One of these days, I'm gonna find my use in this world, and it might be the missing
tough.
link.
Yeah. The key to Middle East peace sits before us.
So before we get to the new U.S. Embassy, which, what a shit show. Hey, I thought this was going to be a short episode. We've been talking for 40 minutes already. Whoops-a-doodle. So, half of evangelicals support Israel because they believe it is important for fulfilling end times prophecy. This is by Philip Bump for Washington Post. Philip Bump. I love names.
Yeah,
That's
me
the
too.
thing about, like...
You do. You G-chat me names all the time. You're like, isn't that a funny name? Like, I don't know.
Okay,
kind
well,
of.
to be fair, I'm like... I'm reading or I'm proof. It doesn't matter. It's not interesting.
It's fine.
But also, Anne won't entertain me and
I'm
be like,
sorry.
this is a fun
I
name.
have a weird last name, so I'm not offended, but I'm like, I see this as normal.
My last names are Blumke and Greif. I don't know what to tell you. I also have not great names.
They're short,
They are short.
easily spellable.
Are they, though?
I'm there.
Not according to everybody I've met. Anyway, hey, what are we doing?
Okay.
Oh, yeah, Israel. I'm glad we made this about ourselves for a minute.
Sure.
So, so this is a quote from Elizabeth Oldmixon, who is a professor at the University of North Texas. She said, quote, "The tenet of Christian Zionism is that God's promise of the Holy Land to the Jews is eternal, not just something in antiquity. When we talk about the Holy Land, God's promise for the Holy Land, we're talking about real estate on both sides of the Jordan River. So the sense of a greater Israel and expansionism is really important to this community. Jerusalem is just central to that. It's viewed as a historical and biblical capital." So, I think that is more or less clear, right?
Yeah.
Is it? I don't know. I was reading.
Yes.
I wasn't listening.
What the missing thing though is and so why are you so interested if you're not Jewish? Oh wait, because when all the Jews find their home in Israel, it's time for the apocalypse, y'all, and they are psyched about it. They're really into the idea of the apocalypse, which I'm just trying to put off for as long as possible.
Yeah, I would like to go ahead and back burner that for a little bit.
Yeah, I want to be long dead.
I'm busy this week.
You know,
a lot going on. So in December, Lifeway Research conducted a poll evaluating the views of evangelical Americans on issues related to Israel and the politics of the Middle East. Among the questions was one about the biblical promise of the Holy Land to Abraham and his descendants. 2/3 of respondents strongly agreed that the promise was an eternal one from God.
no takebacks.
Quote, this is from... Oh, okay. So essentially what we're saying is, yeah, you kind of nailed it. The end times get triggered when the Jews retake their homeland. Is that it?
Yeah, I think that's the general idea.
I'm so afraid to talk on this topic because I feel like there's a million ways that I can fuck it up.
Well, I think that's the entry point. And then, right, because then there are all these pastors speaking about this who also say anti-Semitic things. And so that's the missing thing, though, to be like, so why are you so pro-Israel in this regard? It's because it's ultimately self-serving because they want to get to the apocalypse.
So Robert Jeffress, who's the pastor of the First Baptist Church of Dallas, who was invited... we're going to get to that, but I cannot with the people that Trump surrounds himself with.
It's really incredible.
It's astounding. So he said, quote, "Jerusalem has been the object of affection for both Jews and Christians down through history and the touchstone of prophecy," he told CNN last year. But most importantly, God gave Jerusalem and the rest of the Holy Land to the Jewish people. This article says it's also worth picking out that another part of what Jeffrey said to CNN, Jerusalem, he said, is the touchstone of prophecy. The prophecy is that the biblical prophecy of the return of Jesus Christ and the beginning of the rapture, the end times, comes when that happens. So, like...
It's so a means to an end, right? It's like, well, we want to help you, entire country, but really so that we can usher in the end times. And then if at that point you feel like converting, that's great. If not, you're going to hell.
So I'm trying to think of the sort of... So not that many, maybe 8 years ago, I watched a documentary, and I wish I'll have to look it up to remember what it was called. But it was about a sect of Christians who not just like believed in the end times, but believed the end times were happening like now-ski. And were, like you said, thrilled about it.
Right.
And I will remember for the rest of my life. There's a 14-year-old girl who was saying, well, I was really excited to get my driver's license and go to high school, but, I probably won't live to see it.
Oh, my God.
And, like, it just stuck to me of, like, this like quiet resignation in her voice of like, yeah, no, this
Right.
is just,
It's like, well, it's terminal.
yeah,
But
yeah.
well, now she's probably like 25, so I hope that she has at least driven.
Gone to high school. I don't know. It's just hard. It's just so beyond my realm of understanding. And again, maybe it's because I never was religious, but I get objectively, okay, the end times mean Jesus Christ returns, people are saved, but they know. Okay, say I have a friend who is a Christian who believes very firmly that, you know, the rapture is coming. Or is that the same thing?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Sorry. I'm not dumb. I just don't know things sometimes.
That's okay.
So my friend, who I consider a close personal friend, is Christian, believes the rapture is coming, is looking forward to it, knowing that this is honestly hypothetical. I don't think
She doesn't have any friends, so.
How dare you?
If you guys knew how easily Jessica makes friends, you would have said the same thing. It's like
dare you.
the only person over 30 who's like, making friends is easy.
I mean, if you just talk to strangers.
Okay, moving on. Moving on. So your hypothetical friend.
My hypothetical friend knows that the end times are coming and knows that necessarily means I'm going to be
Toast.
obliterated?
Obliterated forever.
No, I said obliterated. I'm going to stand with
I
it.
heard it.
And that's cool.
I know.
I don't know.
This is
I
a
mean,
weird
it's
thing
the
because it's like I don't want them trying to convert me.
No.
But
No, thank you,
maybe you
please.
should be trying really hard because if we're friends and you think I'm going to go to hell,
Well,
but like we still have lunch sometimes.
well, I
This
mean,
is
Ken
weird.
Gillette said something interesting on that point of like, if you genuinely believe that you are saving my everlasting soul, like, why are you trying harder?
Right. Put in a little time, little effort.
Yeah. But also I don't want to hear it.
Exactly. So it's that right.
Like, I'm grateful on my behalf.
Right. But I'm a little
So
skeptical
anyway.
about you now.
So anyway, half of evangelicals are just trying to get that world ended. Missed. Are you ready for the U.S. Embassy in Jerusalem?
Oh, am I?
And did research because
Yeah.
I don't know. And go ahead and talk about what the ramifications of the U.S. Embassy being moved to Israel is.
Well, it's not great.
All right, thank you for listening to our show.
We can just wrap it up. So for the past several weeks, there have been protests already in Gaza. They happen regularly, but this one is in recognition of Nakba, which is the 1948 exodus of Palestine, in which 700,000, I believe, Palestinians were either forced to leave or fled their land. And this was the same year that the U.S. recognized Israel as a state. So these protests in commemoration of that lined up because apparently nobody can read a calendar to at least try to minimize events as much as possible, lined up with the embassy opening. So they moved it from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem.
And what are the ramifications of that?
So Jerusalem is like the end state question. It's like the last thing that generally people regard as should be negotiated on. If you want to have a two-state solution or some other sort of solution, both Palestinians and Israelis, Muslims and Jews, believe that they have the right to Jerusalem. Palestinians claim East Jerusalem, Jews claim all of Jerusalem. This is like what you want to talk about when you're like, we've settled this, we've settled this, we've settled this. We're so far into this peace process now that, okay, we finally have to tackle this. By recognizing Jerusalem as the capital with the embassy there, the United States has not only made a giant statement about where we and the world stands, but it's also a stupid negotiating practice because then you've basically removed this chip. That why would the Palestinians now want to negotiate if they're like, well, you've already given away our capital? So there are a few dynamics there. 60 people have died during these protests. Palestinians are throwing rocks at Israeli soldiers, and they're firing back with live fire and killing people. It has definitely abated at this point.
But I mean,
it was heightened for sure.
At least
by
it's really
the
bad.
embassy.
People being killed, like an 8-month-old child.
I know.
So,
or it's terrible, and the conditions that they live in are really terrible. It's some of the most densely populated areas on Earth.
And it's
dirty water.
Yeah.
Their airport is shut down because it's just crumbling. The ports are closed. They don't have a port. It's seaside, and yet they don't have access to that water. No jobs, etc. So, though, in the midst of all of this, Trump moves the embassy to Jerusalem, and he brings a good old cast of characters over there, sends over the best. First of all, he's like, Jews, who do I know? Oh, right. My daughter and son-in-law. They send Steve Mnuchin, which is like the most hilarious tack on. They're like, oh, right. Okay. Send him. Treasury Department. Yeah. Why not? Send him.
That's adjacent.
Sure. Seems relevant. But the pastors that they brought with them to open this.
Oof.
Oh,
Oofa doofa.
yeah. John Hagee and Robert Jeffress.
Oh, it's Jeffress? I thought it was
Jeffries? I don't know.
We don't know. And you know what? It doesn't matter. We'll
just call him RJ.
garbage
Yeah,
person.
he's terrible. So this cast of characters is like, both of these people have said terrible things just throughout the course of their careers.
Yep. I've got a list.
Jeffress has said Islam and Mormonism are, quote, heresies from the pits of hell.
Mm-hmm.
Catholic Church was led astray by Satan.
Mm-hmm.
Vintage. I mean, making fun of Catholics, amazing.
God, that's the thing. I've been talking about that a lot of like.
I love it.
Forget that people didn't
I
like Catholics
know.
for such a long time.
And just like as somebody who's raised Catholic, I'm like, I mean, okay.
I didn't
Fine.
know. God, speaking of my dumb religious upbringing, I didn't know Catholicism and Christianity were different for like, I don't know, up until probably I was in college.
Right.
'Cause it didn't matter. Like, anyway.
Yeah.
Jeffries also said Judaism. You can't be saved for being a Jew. You know
Yep.
who said that, by the way? The 3 greatest Jews in the New Testament: Peter, Paul, and Jesus Christ.
I never
They all
saw the
said
back half of that.
They all said there's more. They all said Judaism won't do it. It's faith in Jesus Christ, which cool.
Okay.
Not
Yeah,
only
Jews
do-
going to hell.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, I think I might be restating one you said, but not only do religions like Mormonism, Islam, Judaism, Hinduism, not only do they lead people away from the true God, they lead people to an eternity of separation from God and hell. Okay,
Wow.
So say what you will about atheists, and like, listen, I'm not our biggest fan sometimes. They say mean things to me on Twitter. But God, I've never been like, hey, all people who don't believe exactly what I believe, you're going to spend eternity in the fiery pits of hell. So good luck with that.
It's incredible, right? The worst I wish upon somebody is death, you know?
Yeah.
And they're like, well, after that, I'd really like you to burn in hell for eternity.
He said, "Oh, have you heard about his like city library campaign that he did?"
No.
So, in 1998, he refused to return 2 books about children with gay parents to I don't know what city it is.
Wow,
but to
what a
library.
hero.
He said he was trying to protect children because homosexuality causes, quote, the deaths of tens of thousands every year through AIDS. You know, science.
Wow, and what a stand to take, really.
Oh, so brave.
To be like, okay, well, you're going to owe us $30, sir.
Ugh. What a nightmare human. I don't know. Mitt Romney was super pissed. He tweeted about it. Mm-hmm. Mitt Romney's
he did.
really like repainting himself as like a nice centrist, isn't he?
Well, yeah, history. Now we are looking at him that way. And then he'll say something like, oh, right. But now he's running for Senate. Okay.
I mean, but don't you think like the Mitt Romneys, the John McCain's harken back to a time where it's like, yeah, no, I definitely believe that I don't believe in conservative values. I think they are generally anti-women and anti-poor people in general. But I don't think Mitt Romney hated them. I think he was arrogant about it.
I mean, right. I am diametrically opposed to everything he stands for and believes in, but there is something to be said about like, even during the 2012 campaign, I was like, I am opposed to everything you stand for, but okay. Like I can see why you have appeal. You do seem to be like an intelligent
handsome,
person
he's
who actually
charismatic.
does have beliefs,
Yeah.
but also secretly likes healthcare. You know,
Oh, yeah.
so
can't
I mean,
even.
like, I
really,
never.
You're the governor of Massachusetts, and you're like, oh, national healthcare sucks. Like, okay,
I know.
super cool.
Yeah. So right, I have very different feelings about him and John McCain versus the shit we've got now.
Yeah.
So and if he comes out as a moderating voice, speaking out against this, because he really didn't need to he did not have to do that.
No,
for
I thought he
this.
was going to disappear from public life, more or less.
Yeah.
I mean, but
even in terms of this and the embassy
Oh, I see.
opening, this is something he could have just let go by.
Yes.
And yes, it attacked Mormonism, so of course that's close to him. But politicking wise, he could have let this one go by for
Yeah,
sure.
no, nobody would have been like, we need a
No.
take from Romney on this.
Right.
Okay, just a quick sidebar. Talking about like the 2016 field, do you think maybe your Jeb Bushes or something sort of occupy that similar spot of a John McCain or a Mitt Romney? But like I would argue Ted Cruz doesn't. Like the front runners didn't. Ted Cruz doesn't. Marco Rubio's the fucking pits.
He's so terrible.
Oh my god. Oh, he's the worst.
Just an empty suit.
Oh, the absolute definition.
He is
of an
the
empty
epitome
suit.
of like a
He's
Washington spineless politician. Yeah.
But like Chris Christie is a garbage
No.
monster.
Yeah.
Like,
It was just Jeb.
Jeb.
Exclamation point. Sad face.
Yeah.
Heb.
Heb?
Sad face.
Yeah. But like, are we out of like who would be the like say all of our prayers to Satan come true and Trump does not run for a second term, which I believe he already is.
Day one,
running,
Steve
like,
Bannon filed the papers on January 20th.
God, I cannot. Okay. But is there somebody in that party right now who can take up the banner and be appealing to people to say like a Romney Clinton voter, right? Somebody who voted for Romney and voted for Clinton because Trump is a garbage monster.
No, it's that part of the Republican Party does really appear to be dead, and it's really bad. And that's why I think John McCain passing away at this point,
He hasn't yet, as of this
No,
recording.
but he asked Trump not to come to his funeral already.
Which
I mean,
is-
like he's making plans, right?
I'm sorry, just really quick. I also don't want Donald Trump to come to my funeral.
Hell no.
Do I need to?
Yeah, can I write him a letter?
Can I just
or?
get that on record?
Yeah, right. But yeah, him dying is also symbolic in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
Like he really is kind of the last statesman of the Republican Party here.
Yeah. Can we talk briefly about the kind of the dichotomy of the pearl clutching that happened after the Washington press? Fuck, what's it called? Michelle Wolf.
Oh, the correspondence
dinner. I had press in my head. I couldn't get it out.
Yeah.
The pearl clutching that happened after that versus somebody who made a shitty joke about like who cares what John McCain thinks, he's dying anyway, and everyone's like, I don't know. Like,
well, and it is outrageous, honestly. But John McCain has taken such a beating, and who would have ever thought he was similar to Romney, even in the 2008 campaign.
I think
I
John
was
McCain
like,
would have
I
been
respect
a fine
him.
president. I think he fucked up, or his team fucked up by Palin. I think that I would, not that I'm an expert on modern politics, but I would argue that opened a door to the sort of Trump era that we're living in now, that the cult of personality and I want somebody I can drink a beer with, as opposed to because like
and that was Bush era as well, but in a more performative way. Sarah Palin kind of was the real deal. She was what she said she was.
Yeah,
she was this. She's the same now as she was then. She's just louder and more.
To me, and we're spinning way off track, but I'm okay with this. Can you explain to me really quick how Bristol Palin et al. Are the still banner holders of abstinence-only education?
No, I cannot. I cannot explain that.
Like, that's the thing that I really... for my many flaws, one thing I always try to do is, like, can I honestly see something from this person's point of view?
Yeah.
So I will give you, like, the abortion debate, right? Like, I can at least see where this person is coming from, right?
Right.
Like, your opinion is that you're murdering a human.
Right. If I believed that, I'd be really alarmed too.
Right.
I think that I think their way of thinking is flawed. So I
Is-
disagree heavily.
Is deeply flawed, and I think their time and energy is better spent
On almost anything else.
I was gonna say on like saving children's lives because
Right.
there's so many like food and
Right.
kids in this country. Like,
What
there's
about foster children? What
Yes.
about yes.
that said, when you're a proponent of abstinence-only education and your kid gets pregnant and you're still like, still works.
Right.
What? Still works. Like,
Right.
I just don't.
And then
is-
it happens again.
which one got pregnant? A different one?
Same one. Bristol had
That's right.
she's had a few kids, and the husband, shockingly, the 18-year-old husband did not turn out to be a great guy.
I can't believe
and it's a perfect example of like even teenage pregnancy can ruin somebody's life or totally throw it off track, even if they have crazy means to deal with it.
Yeah.
She had everything, and it still is a fucking mess.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know how we got there. John McCain. Yeah. Poor guy.
No, so we were talking about the embassy in Jerusalem and how that's a fucking
Romney.
mess.
Yeah, but so that matters though, right? Like the people that you send to represent the country,
Yes.
it matters.
Because, like you said it, they're representing the country. And if the person you're sending to represent, and not just, we're not talking about like the UK or like an easy ally that we have, that it's not fraud. Although, God, what relationship do we have on
Right.
the international stage that's
None.
not fraud anymore? But like a Robert Jeffries or Jeffress, don't care how his name is, don't at me. This person who has said, he's not just a homophobe, which he is a homophobe. He's not just an asshole, which he is an asshole. He's not just a misogynist, which he is a misogynist. But he is an anti-Semite.
That's what's incredible to
You
me.
sent him to Jerusalem?
Yeah. Oh, but John Hagee is the same thing. He is the guy who McCain actually rebuffed his endorsement in 2008. He was like, I endorse you. And a couple days later, however long, John McCain was like, no, thank you. I would actually like to give this back. Because he was the guy who said, well, Hitler was probably, he was sent by God. He quoted, God says in Jeremiah 16, behold, I will bring them, the Jewish people, again unto their land that I gave to their fathers.
No.
I will send for many fishers, after which I will send for many hunters. And the hunters shall hunt them. That would be the Jews. Then God sent a hunter. A hunter is someone who comes with a gun and he forces you. Hitler was a hunter.
How has this escaped my purview?
Yeah. So,
Yikes.
and he prayed with his eyes closed at the embassy in Jerusalem.
Is that meaningful? His eyes closed?
No, it's just, why do they always pray and with their eyes closed? So like, it's just like from a TV perspective, watching somebody with their eyes closed, it's like, I don't want to watch you with your eyes closed. It looks weirdly private and like, I don't want to look at it.
Like lecherous almost.
Yeah. But yes, so he said Hitler was a hunter of Jews, and that was basically prophesied by the Bible in Jeremiah. The rabbi who was there, Rabbi Yitzhak Yosef, Sephardic chief rabbi of Israel, said in March some bad things about black people. You can't make the blessing on every kushi you see. It's a derogatory Yiddish word for black person. In America, you see one every 5 minutes. So you make it only on a person with a white father and mother. How would you know? Let's say you know. So they had a monkey as a son like this. So you say the blessing on him. These are like the three worst religious figures I could imagine bringing.
Three worst humans?
They're terrible. Yeah. So this is who
shit.
Trump sent, along with Jared and Ivanka.
Okay, so here's the question. I don't believe that Trump knows what the fuck's going on in his own house, right?
For sure not.
So who's making that call?
That's a good question.
Thank you.
I think that he is outsourcing some of these people to these decisions to people like Robert Jeffress, because the evangelical leadership has his ear in a very real way, and so I think that he said Jared and Ivanka will go. Obviously, they're the Jews I know closest to me. That counts, right? Steve Mnuchin, because he wanted to go on vacation. And I don't totally know, but I think that he probably kind of let them do it themselves. And so, hey, here's this pastor, here's this guy, and here's this guy. Okay, you guys can go. I don't think he signed off on anything. Probably just like, that sounds good.
I just don't understand the motivation, I guess. If you're a Robert Jeffress or whatever's, God damn it.
RJ.
I really second guessed myself in that one. What's the gain for you? Why are you going to this thing? Is it to raise your profile? Is it to like give an old fuck you to the entire Middle East because they're all going to go to hell? Like, what's your end game?
The apocalypse.
I forgot about the apocalypse.
The end times or the end game. And he thinks that he's helping to usher it in, and also it does serve a political purpose. It makes evangelicals back home in the States happy. They like to see it, which then keeps Trump in power, and they have the ear of the president.
And I'm just staring at a bottle of whiskey on that shelf because I am bummed the fuck out by this.
Wonderful.
Okay. Anything else you have to say about Jerusalem? Have you solved it yet?
I think you're the one, right? Aren't you coming in?
I forgot.
All right, here we are. I have not, unfortunately.
I thought I assigned this to you.
Outsourced.
I outsourced Jerusalem. I mean, that's what Trump did.
Yeah, pretty much.
So I have two more things. They're both lighter.
Okay.
And I'm very excited to show this to Anne. So Anne hasn't seen this as far as I've known. So there's a gentleman named Reno Amokri, at RENOOMOKRI on the Twitters. And he tweeted a really chill thing.
Oh, no.
Dear women. I haven't even said anything yet.
It doesn't bode well, but okay, go on.
God made virgins for husbands, not boyfriends. Keeping your virginity till marriage is the best gift you can give to a husband. A virgin, capital V, is more likely to have a tighter connection with her husband than a loose
oh my God, the
woman
clever
who has had multiple sex partners. Hashtag Reno's Nuggets. Are you ready to see the picture that he tweeted along with that?
Hashtag, yes, I am. What the fuck is that? What the fuck is that? It appears to be...
Yeah, go ahead. Just paint us a word picture, Anne.
Several pieces of... Is that tuna?
I don't know if it's tuna, but it's tuna adjacent.
It's several, what I would call tuna medallions, with labeled 1, 2, 3, 4, with increasing in diameter holes in them. Uh-huh. And I suppose the first piece of dead fish is the one you want to fuck. And the fourth one, not so much because that fish has had sex with a lot of guys.
Which, looking at that fish,
my
how big does this guy
God.
think his dick is? That's still fine for you.
Well, if he's...
Why did I say that? That was lewd. I'm sorry. I said a lewd
I'm pretty
thing.
sure he started it.
So, Anne, let's just have a quick conversation.
I like this ratio: 1,700 likes, 6,500 comments. That's what you want when you tweet something.
Let's.
Wow.
So we're.
It's also on a plate that features farm animals. Okay, there's a duck in the background.
That poor duck.
It's a really cute plate.
Duck. So Anne, we're almost 70 minutes into this podcast.
Oh my God, really? Okay, go on. That's not that bad.
No, it's fine.
Okay.
No, it's fine. We have yet to have a feminist rant.
I'm ready.
So,
here comes Dottie. We need another lady.
Dottie, are you going to come listen to us rant? You pooped earlier in the house. Bad girl. Jerk dog.
Shitting on the patriarchy.
So let's just have like a soup's quick convo about this. Okay, I'm going to give us 2 topics. Mm-hmm. Do we want to talk about virginity as a societal concept?
Okay.
Or vaginas and how men think they work?
Oh my God. I don't know.
I mean, it's our show. We can do whatever we want. We can do both.
What do you want to talk about? Do you have a preference?
Virginity as a societal concept.
Let's do that. I was leaning toward that as well.
Okay.
Because
listen, I mean, what else do we need to say? Oh, actually, you know what? I bet we can knock off the how men think vaginas work.
We'll get in there. We'll get it there.
One second. Hey guys, do you think having sex with multiple partners affects your vagina differently than having sex with the same partner multiple times?
Yeah.
How do you think physics do?
Right.
So that's all.
Yeah.
So I think we nailed that one.
That's it.
So virginity is a societal concept.
Unless you're like truly afraid that another man's penis is going to be that much larger than yours.
Oh, well, I mean, I don't know about your vagina, but mine has a memory chip in it. I'm not done. Stop laughing. This is a serious concept, Anne. I'm trying to talk to you about something very personal.
Your memory chip.
Okay, so virginity is a societal concept. So it did not occur to me that virginity wasn't like a real thing until my mid-20s, question mark? Mm-hmm. And I think it is a thing that's really, really damaging. Because
yes.
I can't think of that many other things that we label in that way. Like, if you haven't done X, you are this.
This is like your identity.
This is your identity. And I don't know, like, I'm somebody who lost my virginity a little bit older, and I was mortified if somebody brought it up. Like, I was in college, which...
Oh, my God. And looking back, you're like...
And also, like, I saved myself so much bad sex.
Yeah.
Right? Like, nobody's like, oh, all of my best sex was when I was a sophomore in high school. Which, you know what? If it was good for you, I'm happy for you. It wasn't, though.
You probably married them, so, you know. Hey. No, it's
better,
never.
Whoever's listening.
Yeah.
So I think it's damaging because it's shame-based.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because there's a level of shame associated with why you haven't. And I think that goes on both sides of the religious wall, question mark?
Well, right, because it's this thing, and for men and women, it's like, well, for women, it goes from a purity to shame, and for men, it's always kind of this, like, you scallywag until it's shameful.
Yes.
Like, it's been too late, you know? You're trying to lose your virginity before you go to college, just desperately.
Well, I mean, God, how many fucking, like, pieces of pop culture
for sure. I mean, that's all of
dedicated-
American Pie, right?
Right.
To dig
American
back,
Pie,
'cause that's
Superbad.
what affected, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely super bad for sure.
Which, God, I still like that movie.
It's
I'm
so funny.
sorry.
No, but I think that movie, though, pokes fun at that so much more. American Pie was like, we got to get fucked by
American Pie
prom.
did not age
Whereas, I mean, come on.
But I also think Superbad played with male relationships in a way that was really
Their friendship
sweet.
was so much different.
It was very
It was
darling.
fun.
It wasn't purely competitive, which is, I think, what we saw on
For
American
sure.
Pie.
And they also
Hey,
showed that,
should I-
like, sex for teenagers is awkward and weird and funny and, yeah,
Bad.
it's bad. No, nobody has good sex in that movie.
Bad. Should I talk more seriously about American Pie as if I'm like some sort of intellectual idiot?
Whatever. I watched everything when I was too young, and it like had an effect on me when I was 12.
Ooh, what is the thing that ruined you? What movie did you see way too young? Let's do that.
All things. I was one of 5 children. Supervision was, is she in the house? She must be okay.
Wait, you're on the younger end, right?
I'm right in the middle. 2 older sisters, 2 younger brothers. But yeah, we were big. I mean, and then we also had this local video store that he would rent us everything, just absolutely anything. I rented The Exorcist when I was like 10, and he was like, okay,
I've still never seen The Exorcist.
It's good. What did I see that ruined me? I watched The Virgin Suicides when I was like 12. A lot. And actually, yeah, we'll get back to that later. That ruined me. I remember watching that on a sunny day and being like, I don't ever want to go outside again.
That explains a lot about your personality.
Really? That I watched The Virgin Suicides too young? Oh, God. Yeah, I'll never get it. Why did they do it? I still don't know. What else did I watch when I was too young? I mean, the best example is that my youngest brother, so he was 15 years younger than my oldest sister at that point.
Yeah, that makes sense.
He was really little and watching the movies that we watched. And so by the time I was 12, I was watching Braveheart, which meant that he was too. Oh, no. And it was his favorite movie. And he watched it over and over again. Like how little kids watch like Mr. Rogers over and over again. Oh. He was like trying to paint his face blue and slaughter people on horseback. So he also watched The Matrix over and over again. Like that kid.
So I was
he's good as an adult.
The same way as your brother that like, I mean, that's not a specific thing of like watching things over and over, but I watched movies that were like not for kids. They weren't necessarily
Braveheart.
But the movies I've probably seen more than
and The Patriot. He had a weird thing for Mel Gibson, I guess. I don't know.
Yes.
In historical fiction.
Is your brother an anti-Semite?
No, this was way before. No, he's a good boy.
So the movies I've probably seen more than any other are as follows. True Lies. First of all, I stand by it. It holds up. Why is that funny? It's a good movie. Tom Arnold.
Please, Tom Arnold. The first thing you say is Tom Arnold.
He was a big. He was very funny.
Oh my god. Okay, what else did you watch?
Batman Forever.
Okay, I could stick with that. Yeah,
that is definitely a movie I still get drunk with a certain group of friends and demand. Okay, so you know. Okay, you guys, if you want to hear anything,
we gotta.
Anything substantial, just go ahead and turn it off.
It's
We're done
over.
With that portion of the
over.
Evening. You know how earlier we were deciding where we're going to have dinner, and I was afraid of steamrolling you because I'm very opinionated, and a lot of people are passive, and I'm always afraid like. I'm fine making the decision, but I don't want you to be secretly like, I didn't want this at all.
I didn't want all you can eat sushi. Oh, God.
Who's ever said that?
I don't know, buddy. I hope.
But the times that my steamrolling comes out like in force is like 3 to 4 drinks into an evening. And when it's usually with like my friend Leslie. Have you met my friend Leslie?
I don't think so.
She was on the podcast. Mm. I just make people watch things.
Oh, I have watched the same documentary about voice actors with Jessica. I mean, okay, the first couple times I was like,
tell them how good it is.
I mean, it's a must watch. Yeah, definitely. No, we're definitely gonna watch it tonight. It is called I Know That Voice, and I urge you to watch it.
No, people have tweeted at me and emailed me because they can't find it anywhere.
Oh my God, there was that weird YouTube link that we streamed one night.
Yes.
But then we gave up and you just bought it.
My husband bought it for me for Christmas.
Oh, that's sweet. That's great.
Well, he said because I kept buying it on Amazon.
It's like it's already worth it. Like stop paying the $3.99 to rent it and just pay the $15.99 to buy it.
It's such a good movie.
It's great. Watch it because it's like genuinely talented people that you could appreciate if they weren't so thirsty to be appreciated.
But they talk out of both sides of their mouth because they talk about how like
the guy who does the Porky Pig. You just watch it. It's really great.
Good.
And I have watched it personally with Jessica. I mean, I don't know, 5 to 10 times.
Yeah. In that neck of the woods.
And I'll watch it again.
Usually it's like the end of the night, but the other night...
The last time I was like, do you want to watch it? You're like, it's 8 p.m. Are we getting into this early? I was like, yeah.
That's exactly how I felt. I was like, I thought this was our nightcap.
I want to watch it right now.
Should we just stop this podcast and watch it?
Yeah, I'm sorry, guys. We've got to go.
Okay, anyway. Christ, what was I talking? Oh, so I steamrolled people. So I've made a lot of people watch Batman Forever as an adult. And guess what? It still fucking holds up.
Great.
I've seen Clue a million times, Young Frankenstein a million times. But, like, I didn't watch I mean, that's not true. I did watch children's movie frequently.
I just watched as much as I could of anything.
Just constantly. Yeah. Constantly. Did you watch Who Framed Roger Rabbit as a kid?
Oh,
did
yeah.
The end ruin your childhood?
I don't even really remember the end.
Okay, true story. My brother and I... God, I can't even remember. I was young enough that I could still fit under... See that end table that's over by my couch? I could fit under that.
Kind of a standard size.
Yeah. It's like standard end table size. That literal exact end table used to be in my house growing up.
Okay.
And I would hide under there.
For the end of it. Oh, wait, he melts, right?
He does melt. Okay. And then he, like, comes back as a cartoon. So I'd hide under there, and if that wasn't safe enough, I would go, like, we had, like, living room, family room kind of thing, and there was a fireplace in between them. And so I would go on the other side and hide between that end table.
Oh, you were going to be safe. It's like the 50s atom bomb drills. You're like, the desks will save us.
I just had my hands over my neck and like, hope that Christopher Lloyd doesn't get me.
Hope that Sputnik is just for looks.
God, we're getting back there soon, huh?
Sputnik? I think so.
I mean, do you think they're going to start making like bomb-proof desks for kids? Is that our net? Like, nuclear threats seem really close, don't they?
Don't worry. He's got it under control.
Jesus, deal maker. Okay, one last thing, and then we have to stop
We've got to stop.
because we have another podcast to do.
So if you're into this
You
kind
haven't
of
finished our
mood,
Moscow oh yeah,
just
If you-
keep continuing because I'm pretty sure it's going to escalate.
Yeah,
when
it's
we
not
start
gonna
talking
get
about
better.
children's favorites
Oh my God, this is going to be
and how
excellent.
Little House on the Prairie informed
y'all,
a lot.
Like, you need to donate $1 to our Patreon
Come
to
on.
listen to this shit show. That's
If
about
you've
to
made
go
it this
down.
far, you're clearly interested in us.
Like all the people who tweeted me, like, I want to be your friend, Jess. Yeah, this is how you do
This is how you do it. Give
is
her
hanging out with
money.
me.
Give
No,
her
but-
money and she'll invite you over to have wine.
I cannot stress enough that, like, I'm not doing a character. I don't do a bit.
No, this is really Jessica.
It's
This
all
is
the
it. And it's so great.
Well-
and I mean, Jessica and I talk pretty much every day, and I still listen to the podcast almost every week.
The feeling when people text me that, like, people I know text me that they listen to the podcast, what is the emotion I feel? It's flattered and horrified. It's like a combination thereof of like, oh
She
my
shouldn't
God.
be.
Well, I mean, it's very much like, oh my God, you value what I have to say or what I have to
Yeah.
say enough that like you're willing to listen or you find me entertaining or whatever. But there's also this like existential crisis.
Like, oh
of-
God, I said that dumb joke.
Well, and also I think
None of
there,
your
there's
jokes are dumb.
they're literally all dumb. That's all I do. There's also this sense of you forget that people are listening to you.
Yeah.
I tend to be, like I said, like I tell like secrets on this for no specific reason. Nobody asks me. I'm just
Well,
like,
because right now we're just in your kitchen.
We're just in my
And you've
kitchen.
done this more than 200 times.
yes. Actually, you know what today is? What's it, 2018?
Mm-hmm.
This is the 6th year anniversary of me joining the Friendly Atheist
Wow.
family.
Happy anniversary.
Thank you. The podcast didn't start till later, but
Right.
I started as a blogger 6 years ago.
That's so
which,
crazy.
Honestly, like in a very, I should be
It's a
saying this
long
to
time.
Hemant, but Hemant's not sentimental. I think the Friendly Atheist changed my life in really the most significant way of any other job.
Yeah.
Because were it not...
I can see that absolutely.
Because I started writing for the blog when I was working for the Tribune, and like, thank God I was, because I was not making ends. I was making $12 an hour at the
Yeah,
Trib,
God, I can't
living in
believe that.
Chicago,
I can't believe that.
not making, like, not even barely making ends meet, not making ends meet.
Right.
Like, I'm still paying off credit card debt to this day because I needed to eat.
$12 an hour.
I needed to eat every day
Yeah.
like an asshole. But I would get, a few $100 in through the blog, through this. And then that's how I got the job at, I'm going to say Brafton. I've never said the name of the
Oh,
company.
yeah, that's where you work. As if Jessica's like not on LinkedIn or something.
That's actually an excellent point.
Yeah, we
at
worked together at
Yeah,
Brafton.
that's where, so it's a content marketing
It's
agency.
not slanderous. We found each other. So,
We did
there you
find-
go.
I mean, to this day, some
lots
my
of
best
friends from Brafton. Absolutely. It's good people.
My friend Eric was on this show talking about, he grew up in a cult. You know
Oh
that
my
about
God,
Eric.
yeah.
It's an amazing.
Fascinating.
God, that's probably 2 years old now.
Such a good backstory.
But I wouldn't have gotten the job at Brafton because I got a job as a quote unquote professional writer. And the Friendly Atheist was my only quote unquote professional writing experience. And that's
Got you into a whole different field than you would have been
I
in.
would not be where I am. Certainly, like there have been bumps in the road, to be sure. But I'm grateful for where I am, and I'm grateful that I love doing this show so much.
I'm so glad. And you're good at it. And you can tell that you just have fun on it and that you really enjoy it.
I do. It's a lot of fun. Ugh, we got sentimental. Do you want to talk about how somebody tried to prove an angel exists to close out the show?
Honestly, maybe not. Yes.
Just really quick. So,
Yes.
So there's like
I do.
security cameras that people put in their front doors now. Like it's a doorbell, but it's also a camera.
Sure.
Somebody's took a picture of a moth, and everyone's like, "Cool, we we proved angels. So they just
Oh,
really
you
quick.
cutie. Okay.
I'm not going to read this whole thing because look how long it is.
Wow.
See this whole paragraph?
You have like 8 bullet points on angels.
Okay, well, it's 1 bullet point. It's 2 bullet points, but it's
They're really long.
very long.
Sure.
But literally, it's like we've studied the photo. This is from Jordan Rivers, a church in East Jordan, which is in I did not write
All
this
of these
down.
biblical names.
Right.
Yeah.
But basically, they're like, it's an angel, and everyone's like, no, it's definitely a moth. And
It's a moth.
which is like fine. Like if you don't think it's an angel, it's fine.
You can still believe. You don't need a picture.
But Pastor Danielle, Deneille, Mose, Moes. Wow.
Okay.
Really not great with names today, Jessica.
Danielle.
Not nailing it. We studied the photo from all possibilities. This quote being is behind the truck with translucent wings. We checked the temp at 12:49 a.m. for this location.
Oh my God.
46 degrees was predicted. Blah blah blah. Blah. Moths don't happen, and this. So at the end, so that I got to here, and so going down to the end. So that's the last of the scientific research. Our conclusion remains the same. Angel.
That's it.
We did science.
Oh my God.
Like, I think I get singularly frustrated when people reject all science, but then when they try to prove something like
They
this,
use science.
They use science,
Right.
and they're like,
Or
why
like
aren't
if
you
it's
taking
based
me
on
seriously?
right, if it's based on faith, then why do you need a photo?
Yeah, I don't understand that either.
It's like they want to just finally be like, gotcha, we did it. See angels. You're like, but it's a moth. And that's seriously
And, like, it's
funny and it's
okay.
fine. Who hasn't looked at a picture with a weird orb in it and you're like, but maybe there are
Oh
ghosts.
my god, the conversations Anne and I have had about aliens are
Okay, you know what?
okay. She's more excited. Okay, do you remember when?
Nobody
like,
remembers because
9
Trump took over everything.
Yeah, like 9 months ago, the government was like, yeah, we talk about UFOs. And Anne lost her mind.
I have been a believer for a long time, but it's not belief. There has been evidence for a very long time. And, the U.S. government finally declassified it. The Pentagon declassified that they've had a program, a UFO program.
But what
and
they found flying objects that have not necessarily been identified.
Yeah,
They
UFOs.
haven't- But yes, but like when you say UFO without any context, it's like, well, it's aliens.
Unidentified flying object. Right. They're not man-made. Okay, but the point is,
Are we
I was
fighting?
like, I'm not, you can't fight with facts, Jess. So you're fighting.
This is the fourth
I'm
time we've had
sitting
this
here being
discussion.
right. I feel like I just shout into the void of, you know what? You guys can look it up. There are several videos that have been released. They declassified some of them in December. I sound crazy. In December. And then in March,
Yeah,
they
and you
declassified
super sound
another.
crazy.
All right, you know what? If anybody else had been president, everybody would have been enthralled by this story. But instead, it was like, la la la. Trump tweeted that he was going to, nuke North Korea.
Yeah,
so
so
we
that-
lost sight of the fact that the Pentagon released papers that says, hey, UFOs, and there are videos, and,
But like UFOs don't equal aliens.
Jessica, look into it.
Oh my God.
And I'm just going to leave it at that.
Okay.
Friends, you've just listened to me. I think I sound like a pretty logical person. I also am a journalist. I don't do stuff just based off fact. I'm not saying like, well, they're from this planet and they're here for this and blah, 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 blah. I don't know what they are, but people for years have just been like, there's nothing there to it. Ha, ha, ha. Just look,
So
read
we
about
landed
it.
on the last
There-
time we've
read
had
about it.
this literal exact conversation,
Yeah.
which we've had 4 times. Here's what we landed on, and I thought that was extremely interesting where we landed.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm approaching it as a skeptic, and you're approaching it as a journalist.
Yeah.
And so
Oh, yeah, I forgot this. Yeah.
right? So for me, it's like, okay, well, let's look at all the facts and what's the most likely outcome and like what is really happening here that is pointing in the directions. Whereas Anne comes to it as like, what's the story like?
I think I would say it's more like, but what if? Like, let's follow it to the end.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. That was
I
much
want
better.
to. Yeah, I want to follow it to the end.
Yeah, for me, I'm not gonna like try to find all these facts to line up in a way that I want them to, because that's not how I look at the world.
I don't do that either. I want to be very clear
No,
about
okay,
that.
You're right. That was not well put. Can you put it better than I did? You're following the story.
I'm following the story. I'm following where it leads, and it's leading to really compelling places, and I'm not crazy. And if you read the New York Times and believe their investigative journalism, you should believe this too.
Yeah.
And same thing with the Washington Post. And it actually doesn't take too much investigative journalism because the Department of Defense released it. They release videos, they release documents, and it's not even close to the first country that's done so.
Right. And my thing is like, okay, what's the most, given that at face value, without me digging into it, because it's not an interest of mine, it's an interest of yours. Mm-hmm. To me, I look at that, I'm like, okay, what's more likely? It's an alien thing that countries are covering up, or somebody built a dumb thing and they don't know what it is. Like, to me...
Have you watched the videos?
No, I don't care.
Okay, well, you really should.
No, I'm being very sincere. I don't like.
We're gonna watch it after this. It's 30 seconds long.
We have to talk about Lost in the Prairie.
Do you see, friends, how Jessica puts her head in the sand?
How dare you!
It's a 30-second video that is really compelling, and I think that you should watch it.
Okay, no. Okay, I will watch it, but like, I am just saying. It takes, for me, it takes a big fucking amount of evidence to be like, okay, this is a
I think that
thing.
you should look at the evidence. I think that you will be compelled.
Okay.
It's an interesting thing to keep following. That's what I'll say. I'm not saying they're little green men, but there's an entire Department of Defense initiative that's based on looking at this. If it were created by Russians, then wouldn't that just be in their counterintelligence unit?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I would...
Oh my God, we're talking about UFOs.
Oh, Jesus. Okay, we've hit 90 minutes. We have to stop this
We've got to
train.
stop. We've got to stop. It's evidence. Just go look at it, guys. I'm not telling you what it is, but just go look at it.
What is a happy thing that happened to you this week?
I'm hanging out with you.
That was going to be mine!
Yeah, it was the first thing that came to mind, but it's very true. I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, I think we've both been looking forward to that. I mean, because now that I live in the burbs, it takes a minute for Annie and I
it takes a little more effort. Yeah,
we used to be an Uber away, or a train and a walk, or whatever. So I'm glad we're... And I like that we both like, let's have a sleepover. And it was much easier when I was fun employed, and we can be like, Tuesday night, perfect. Do I have everything going on in my life? I do not.
Come on over.
But yeah, I'm really glad you can
That's great.
make it out for this. I'm glad we had dinner.
Me too.
And this is fun.
That's fun.
And I always enjoy having you on the show. Obviously, I think, and I've talked about this a lot, because the Fables podcast, which is the spin-off of this, it feels more personal, because like Hemant and I are friends. Don't tell him that. He doesn't have any friends. But like, we were colleagues first and happened to like have a good dynamic, I think, between us. But it feels very personal to say like, hey, here's a person I love and respect, and like, I want to share them with this listening audience. And it kind of feels a little like,
it's nice.
Like, you guys better like her.
I hope you do.
Oh, also last time Anne was on the show, we got many complaints about our voices. So like,
were there multiple?
I mean, it probably wasn't that many, but it was enough that
it feels bad. That's for sure. Did you? Oh God.
Of course I did. I'm really insecure. I mean, there have been a lot. So if you follow me on Twitter, every time somebody says something like particularly shitty to me or about me,
drag them. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I usually don't give their name or whatever, but like, I always broadcast it, because myself and we're in a Facebook group with some other lady podcasters who just people love to point out the things they don't like about women in general, women podcasters in particular.
Yes.
There's been many
women's voices in public spaces.
Yes. There have been many people who have, they leave the comment on our podcast, which I co-host. I need to be really clear about this. I'm not like Hemant's sidekick.
Well, you're not like me, who I'm coming in and I'm like, hey.
You're my guest host.
Yeah.
Like this.
They treat you like, yes.
This would not have started with that. I was the one who started this podcast because it was something I really wanted to do.
There you go.
But generally when people give us feedback, it's directed to Hemant at me.
It's so bizarre, like 50s, like,
keep your woman
talking
in line.
to your husband about you.
No, it really, like, there's
her behavior.
It'll literally say like,
was-
Hemant, you need to tell Jessica to do XYZ. And like, and I have talked a lot about being a woman on the internet and what that means and what you have to sort of accept when you do it.
You're far better at it than I do. I honestly just dodge it.
What did I say? I've been doing this for 6 years. People have been saying shit.
Yeah, you're way more. Yeah, you've
And
built
since
up
I was,
armor.
26, I guess. So like, I used to take it super personally, and I still read every comment, despite Hemant and my husband being like, maybe don't. I'm like,
Maybe don't.
or I'll read everything anyone's ever said about me.
I couldn't do it.
I don't know. It's I think because I do want to be somewhat open to criticism, if criticism is
Valid, right?
or interesting. I a while ago, and I think I've emailed with this woman or tweeted with her since, of like, I had said something about pro-lifers, and she's like, you should really say anti-choice or anti-abortion, because pro-life is a misnomer, and it's
Sure.
And she was 100% right, and I bristled at it at first because I'm very sensitive and delicate,
Getting criticism is hard. Yeah.
Yeah, it sucks. It's the worst. I get it every single day.
I can't believe that you look at all of them.
I don't know. It's honestly, it's the same thing as I gave blood the other week,
Hero.
and they always. Thank you for acknowledging that I'm a hero. I did get 2 juice boxes because I almost passed out. I get dizzy spells, but
You're a lady.
because I'm dainty.
Dainty lady.
But when they're like, if you don't, if you want to, this is the time you have to look away. And I have to look when the needle goes in.
Okay.
I feel it's kind of the same thing. Like, I need to be, I would rather be aware of what's going on.
Okay.
Of the bad things that are happening to
good
me
analogy.
than, like, get blindsided by
Yeah.
them. Right?
I get that.
Yeah.
I look away. So
It's a metaphor.
perfect.
Okay, Anne, where can we find you on the internet?
At Anne Bolano, ANNEBOULEANU.
But if you talk to Anne, like, tag me in there because I have to, like, G-chat her that somebody's talking about
Yeah,
her on
immediately.
Twitter.
Because I just stopped going on. At one point, it's the Trump administration. I just started dreaming in tweet scrolls, and I was like, that's it. And so I deleted it from my phone, and so I only go on sporadically. That you guys really needed to hear that. But so yeah, Jessica keeps me updated on Twitter.
Just when it's about me and you. I don't care about anything
Otherwise,
else.
who cares?
Well, I showed you that tweet about the tuna.
Oh, God. Virgin tuna.
You can find me at Blueberry, BLUEBURIE. You can email us if you have questions, concerned, you want us to talk about you on the air. Email us at friendlyatheistpodcast@gmail.com. If you like what you're listening to and want to support us, it means a whole lot to us. If you do that, you can go to patreon.com/friendlyatheistpodcast. Our new Patreon goals are up. Have you heard about these?
No.
You didn't listen last week then, huh?
Sorry. I know you guys are doing a live show.
Totally
Is that what it
kidding.
is?
Yeah, so the first
Oh,
one.
guess who listened?
Well, I tweeted about it like 4 times.
I don't go on Twitter. Established moments ago.
Are we fighting now?
I think we might be.
We're fighting.
Okay, well.
Do you want to go watch I Know That Voice?
It's ugly on the air. I think we've got to. Yeah, we've got to go.
Yeah, so we're going to, our next goal is that we'll transcribe the episodes, which sounds like a crazy thing for somebody to have to do because I listen to myself talk. I'm like, it's barely English. And then the stretch goal is doing a live show in Chicago, which I'm like,
So cool.
at once thrilled and horrified about.
Yeah, I get that.
I mean, I'm going to say if we do that, 90% of the crowd would be like my friends and family.
That's fine. I'll be there.
I guess that was like my stand-up comedy career. Like, hey, are you doing anything at 10 o'clock on a Tuesday night?
Do you want to come?
Do you want to pay $8 to see deeply mediocre comedy? All the white dudes are going to make Tinder jokes. That was my life. So, yeah, email us, friendlyatheistpodcast@gmail.com. I'm sorry, we really meant to do a short episode. It's been much longer. It's like 90 minutes.
Help us. I'll help you, actually. Okay.
Thank you for listening, you guys. Next week, either we'll have an interview up, because Hemant will still be out of the country, or I may find another guest host, or maybe I can get Anne to come back out. Who fucking knows?
We might be still fighting.
We're fighting now. Thank you guys for listening. See you next week.
Bye.